I want to talk to you about the 5 really common misconceptions, misunderstandings when it comes to building an online music production business. While having your own business online can free up a lot of your time, it gives you flexibility in your schedule, spend more time with the people that you love, and essentially be living off of something that you love doing. While those are all great, it doesn't come at a low price. There's a lot of underestimations when it comes to the amount of effort that you have to put in, the time you have to put in. So I want to cover these things so that hopefully it can shift your mindset a little bit so that you can be hyper aware of this and know this going in so that you can put more effort, more time into building your business. That way you can have a better chance of succeeding. My name is Chris. I have grown my own 6-figure online music production business, and now I coach others on how to build their businesses. And so the intention of this video is to just help you out and help you hit the ground running, and we can avoid as many mistakes as possible along the way. So with that being said, let's jump over to the whiteboard and let's get started with these 5 common misconceptions. So the first one I want to talk about is the sheer volume it actually takes to build something great. Something that I have my students do is when they start out with no money, they have to DM a lot of people. They have to message a lot of people. And people think like DMs don't work. Give me a reason why DMs don't work. DM is a tool, right? It's just a tool. It's just like your phone. That's like saying my phone is not making me any sales automatically. It's not working. It depends on what you say, and it depends on how much volume you're actually outputting. People get tired after sending 20 messages a day for like 7 days, and they only spend like 40 minutes on it. This is purely, we're underestimating the amount that it actually takes. And the best way to figure out how these things work is we have to reverse engineer these things. So let's just say that your goal is to get $5,000 per month. And let's say that you sell your beats for $500 each. So how many beats do we have to sell to get to $5,000? We need 10 beats, right? So if you need 10 beats to be sold, we can reverse engineer it from here. Let's just say that you sell beats over the phone. You sell customs for $500 over the phone. Well, what does that mean? If we need 10 people to sell, let's think about like what our close rate is. We have to think of that first. So we have to find out first like what our close rate is. So let's say that you have a 20% close rate. So in order to make 10 sales out of 20%, you would need 50 calls, okay? Just knowing like doing sales and stuff like that, not everybody is gonna show up on the call that you book. So let's say it's a 50% show up rate. So that means you need 100 people to book a call. Right? And this is saying that you have a 20% close rate. You'll get better, things will get better, but let's just say this, okay? You need 100 people to book a call, 50 people will show up, 10 people will buy. Now, how many people do you need to message in order to get 100 people booked? Let's just say that you have a booking rate of 20%. So what does that mean? We have to set 500 messages, right? 500 messages. So if we're sending like 20, 30 messages at a time, at a day, like how long is it going to take you to get to 500 messages so that you can get 100 people booked, so that you can get 50 people to show up, and so you can get 10 people to buy? So the sheer amount of messages that you actually should be sending should be increased dramatically. Right? It's not about sending 20 messages a day because only a percentage of those people are going to book. And it's not about sending 30 messages a day. What you should be sending is like 100 messages a day, 200 messages a day. And this sounds hard because it kind of is. And not a lot of people are willing to do it and to stick with it for a long time, which is why only a small percentage of people are willing, like actually succeed in their business. And so it's not meant for everybody. So I hope this helps you become aware of how much volume, how much it actually takes in order to get some results like this. So the second thing that is usually misunderstood is consistency. Yes, we hear it all the time. Consistency is key. But here's the thing. It's a lot easier to say, but it's a lot harder to put into action. Because a lot of times, people wait until they're motivated before they take any action. And there's no consistency because you can't consistently be motivated all the time, right? It's rare. It comes few and far in between. So what can we do? First of all, understanding that consistency does not grow linearly. What that means is like, it doesn't grow like I put in 1 day, it grows a little bit. I grow in 2 days, it puts in a little bit. 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Consistency is not consistent as far as linear growth. Consistency builds exponentially. So let's just say the first day you put in, you don't get any results. Second day, you don't get any results. Third day, you don't get any results. Fourth day, 2 weeks later, you start seeing a little bit of results. 3 weeks later, you start seeing more results. A month later, all of a sudden, like your results are skyrocketing because things build upon each other. As you fill your pipeline, let's just say you're DMing artists. As you fill the pipeline, you know, people start responding later on. people get back to you, people get busy, they book calls later. So it's not linear growth, whereas you put in the work, it grows little by little. What happens is it compiles and it starts growing exponentially. So that's the first thing to understand. When you put in consistency, it doesn't grow linearly, it grows exponentially, so that you know this time that you're putting in from day one is going to be worth it, because eventually you're going to hit this. So if you have that in mind, you'll start to understand that it becomes easier to stay consistent. And again, like I said, we can't depend on motivation to stay consistent, because motivation shows up every once in a while. It is inconsistent. So what do? We need to ingrain these things as a habit, because habits are hard to break. Whether they're good, whether they're bad, what you can do is create positive habits so that you get results that you want. So as you do this every single day, let's say the thing is to message artists. Like, messaging artists works. We just need to be more consistent with it. Or you just need to post more, whatever it is. You just have to make sure that you ingrain it as a habit. And a good way to do this is something called habit stacking, which you can learn about in Atomic Habits. It's a book written by James Clear. But essentially, the concept is that you take a habit that you already have, something that you can't break, and you attach a habit that you want to develop on top of it, and you tie it together so that every time you do this habit that you already have, no matter what, you will do this habit that you want to ingrain. So let's just say I want to send 50 DMs per day. So I drink coffee every day. There's not a day I can go by without drinking coffee. I will feel like a zombie. Don't talk to me, don't. All right, so if that is your habit, what you want to do is take 50 DMs and tie it to your coffee. So every time you make a cup of coffee, every time you sit down to drink a cup of coffee, you have to send 50 messages no matter what. And as you do this day in, day out, over and over and over and over, it's going to feel wrong because it's a habit, and habits are hard to break. It's going to feel wrong not to do it. And this is how you stay consistent. This is how you build that momentum so that you can grow exponentially. And just know, if you do this, you will grow exponentially and not linearly. So it's all worth it. The third common misunderstanding is that knowledge is enough. We have YouTube now, we have Google, we have the internet. Why do we need to pay for someone who specializes in something to help us do something, like a business mentor, a business coach? Why do we need those things, right? They just cost a bunch of money. It's just a waste of money. Well, here's the thing. Knowledge is a key ingredient, but knowledge is not enough to get you to break your daily habits, break your bad habits, do major changes in your life to reach the goals that you want. Knowledge is just the beginning. This is knowledge. Let's say this is knowledge and this is your goal. If you just keep stacking this, you're missing all the key components to get to your goal, right? Just because you have this knowledge doesn't mean that you're going to take action to get to this goal. You know you should be sending 100 messages a day, but you're not doing it, so therefore you're not going to reach your goal. A lot of times people just say the same things over and over. They're not giving me the real sauce in order to make this thing happen. Maybe it's the fact that you're ignoring what actually works because you're not willing to do it. That's the truth. I've been in this position too. So I've known what to do. I just didn't do it because I didn't have enough skin in the game. I didn't have enough to break my daily habits. So what I did was, not everybody needs to do this, but I personally hired a business mentor and paid him a lot of money so that I had so much skin in the game that I was going to listen to every single thing that he did and made sure that this happened. Which is funny because he quit coaching and he puts everything on YouTube now. And I looked at some of those YouTube videos of those lessons that I watched over and over and over when I paid him a lot of money. But when I watched it for free, I was like, there's no way I was going to stick with this and just do it because it was free on YouTube. I just didn't have enough skin in the game to break my daily habits, to change and make all these things that are uncomfortable. And the thing is, when you do things that are uncomfortable, it gets you closer to your goal. Because if you could figure these things out doing what's in your comfort zone, you would have already reached this goal, right? If you already knew what to do, you already took the actions, you would already reach your goal. But that's the problem. You don't know what steps to take, or even if you know what steps to take, you're not taking those steps, therefore you're gonna get stuck right here. You're stuck right here and your goal is over here. And you're wondering why. It's because you're stuck in your comfort zone. You're not doing anything different. Therefore, why should anything change for you? The definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over and expecting different results. Take that into consideration. And a lot of times it takes a lot of accountability, external accountability, maybe from someone else, because obviously you're not able to do it, to push you to take these steps. 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, and then finally reach your goal. If you don't have anyone holding you accountable, you're the one that needs to hold yourself accountable. But clearly, if you're here, You need to admit to yourself that you're having trouble holding yourself accountable because you're stuck in your comfort zone. The point to get out of your comfort zone is because that's where growth happens. So you need some sort of motivator to get yourself out of here, whether that be external accountability, whether that be, I don't know. But a lot of times people get out of their comfort zone and do the hard things when they're pushed up against the wall and they have no choice. So you can set yourself up for that mentally. You can invest in a mentor, you can do something, but you need to be able to push yourself out of this area so that you take the right steps towards your goal. And knowledge alone is not enough. Knowledge is step 0. That's what you need to get started, but getting started is taking the actions towards it. And here's the ultimate tip for that. You can't just take the steps and just take each step at a time. The best thing you can do is track the work that you're putting in. Let's say you're sending messages to artists. Track every day. How many messages did I send? How many call pitches did I make? How many people actually booked? So as you track this data, that's the only way for you to make good decisions, because business is very data driven. If you're making decisions based on emotions, just like, I feel like I've been sending so many messages, but then you look back and it's only been 4 days, you don't want to make the wrong decision and give up and say this isn't working based on your feelings. You have to look at the data and see what's actually happening, because if you're not putting in enough, what you need to do is increase. And that's how you make decisions, is based off data and not on emotion. So the fourth misunderstanding is that we need to build a massive following, a massive brand before we start getting any sales. That's super backwards, first of all, because when you're one person and you're limited on time, you shouldn't be focusing on branding, because there's only so much branding that you could do. Let's say you're individually reaching out to everybody. There's only so much you can do if you don't make offers and you're just trying to get them to recognize your brand. It's not the best use of your time. At the beginning, your time is very limited, first of all, so it's not the best use of your time. Secondly, the point of branding is to get people to be aware of your company and that it exists and that it's good. And so it costs a lot of money just to get your brand in someone's face. So if in the beginning, we don't have very much money, because if we had the money, we would be leveraging it. And so we have to leverage our time. And this is not the best use of your time. You shouldn't worry about branding until what you should be worrying about is like, I don't even have any clients, right? So it's ridiculous. Like, why should we focus on our branding when we don't even have any clients? That's the true issue. So the first thing you should focus on is sales. So going direct to sales. Reach out to person, reach out to people, see if you can make them an offer that they want so that they will give you money. Don't focus your time on branding in the beginning, because I hear so many times that people are like, I'm trying to focus on my branding so that like when people see me, they'll actually want to buy. Well, this isn't guaranteed. Branding isn't guaranteed to sales, but the way to get sales a lot easier is making offers. So this is where you should focus your time first. And branding is something that you can start having in place when this part is taken care of, because this part is crucial. Getting money, having capital, keeps your business alive. So whether you outsource this later to people who will do sales calls for you, set appointments for you, until you have that foundation solidified, you should not move on to branding, because you need this to stay alive. You need this to grow exponentially, but we don't want to grow like this until we have sustainable sales. And the fifth and last major misunderstanding is that we underestimate how much effort it actually takes to build an online business. We hear a lot of things like, we just need to make passive income. Like, if you just do this, you're just going to get money all the time. There's a huge hole in that concept, because things that are passive take a lot of front end work. And it's never just easy in the front and passive forever. This is where a lot of people get tripped up, because they don't think of how much effort it actually takes to be able to do something like this, to be able to own your own business, to be able to run things sustainably by yourself. It takes a lot of effort. So I don't want you guys to underestimate this, because it's really important to understand and not give up so easily. I have a lot of students that, I have them message people, and after like 5 days, after 20 messages a day, they're like, I'm messaging so many people, I'm not getting a lot of responses, it's really not working. Again, it's the sheer volume, the sheer amount of effort that you need to be putting in to see a return. I don't want you to think this is all rainbows and butterflies and all you have to do is make good music and it's going to sell itself. There's a lot of different things that you have to learn, business skill sets, in order to run a business. The end of the day, that's what your music is a business. So if you don't treat it like such, then it's going to crumble. That's just how it works, right? So the amount of effort that you need to put in, don't underestimate this. It is hard to build a business. It is hard to sustain things by yourself. So the best way, again, to keep track of how much effort you're putting in is data. When you put in mass effort, let's just say you send out like 50 messages a day, you've been doing it for 6 months, that's where you have enough data where you can start optimizing what's working and what's not working. But if you're sending 10 messages a day, you've done it for 7 days, you feel burnt out from it because no one's responding, and you look at the data and you say like, okay, I've sent 10 messages for 7 days, that's 70 messages. Well, now you can look back and see how ridiculous this is, and you won't make an emotional decision and say, this isn't working. But it's purely just because we don't have enough data to see if it's working or not, or what's working and what's not working. Best action step for you to take is start recording all the things that are important that you're doing in your business, whether that be posting, whether that be reaching out to people, whether that be creating music, whatever it is, record the data. We can be like, oh, I've been making beats all week, but then you're like, wait, I only made 1 beat. I mean, is that a lot? We have to keep track of these things that are important in our business, because without data, you can't make smart decisions. You just make decisions based on your emotions, and that's a quick way to have a failed business. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. The point is to just be more aware of like how much effort it actually takes to build a music production business, especially when you start out by yourself. You're a solopreneur. You know, besides music, besides creating, there's a lot of business skills that you have to learn. And so if you want to learn more about that, I'll leave a training down below. It's going to teach you how to essentially grow and build a high-ticket business around your music production. So I'll leave a training there. And if you found this helpful, please subscribe, share it with your friends, and I will see you in the next video.